Look at your ankles. I mean, really look at them carefully. Can you press your finger into the skin and watch it leave a little dent that stays there for a few seconds? Do your shoes feel tighter by evening than they did when you woke up this morning? And that heavy, achy feeling in your legs that makes every step feel like you're walking through deep water. Does that sound familiar? If you're nodding along, you're definitely not alone. Millions of seniors wake up every single day dealing with this exact problem, and here's what most people don't realize. This isn't just part of getting older that you have to accept. In fact, for many of you watching, there's one specific vitamin your body is desperately crying out for, and when you finally give it what it needs, that swelling can start melting away in as little as 3 to 5 days. Now, before we dive deep into this life-changing information, do me a quick favor. Hit that like button if you're tired of dealing with swollen legs and want real solutions that actually work. And drop a comment below telling me your age and where you're watching from. It helps this information reach more people who need it, and I love connecting with our community from all around the world. Alright, let's jump in, because what I'm about to share could genuinely transform how you feel every single day. So here's what's really happening inside your body when your legs swell up like balloons by the end of the day. Your cells are basically like tiny rooms with doors, and these doors are supposed to open and close in a very specific rhythm to let the right amount of water and minerals in and out. Think of it like a perfectly choreographed dance, but when you don't have enough of this one critical vitamin, those doors start malfunctioning. They get stuck open or stuck closed, and suddenly fluid that should be inside your cells starts leaking out into the spaces between your tissues. That's when you get that puffy, swollen feeling. Your shoes suddenly don't fit, your socks leave deep grooves in your skin, and your legs feel so heavy and tight that climbing stairs becomes this monumental task you dread. Medical research calls this condition edema, which is just a fancy word for abnormal fluid retention. And here's what makes this especially frustrating for people over 50. As we age, our bodies naturally become less efficient at absorbing certain nutrients from food. We might be eating all the right things, but our digestive system isn't pulling out those vitamins and minerals like it used to. Add to that the fact that many medications commonly prescribed for blood pressure, diabetes, and heart conditions can actually deplete this specific vitamin even faster. So you've got this perfect storm situation where your body needs more of this vitamin than ever before, but it's getting less and less of it. No wonder your legs are swelling up. Now, I know what you're thinking. You've tried elevating your feet. You've tried cutting back on salt. Maybe you've even bought those compression socks that are so tight you need a friend to help you get them on. And sure, those things might help a little bit temporarily, but they're like putting a band-aid on a leaking pipe. They're not fixing the real problem happening deep inside your cells. What you need is to address the root cause, and that's where this vitamin comes in. Coming in at number 5, we need to talk about something that might surprise you. The amount of sugar in your diet plays a massive role in whether this vitamin can actually do its job properly. And I'm not just talking about the obvious stuff like candy and cookies. I'm talking about bread, pasta, rice, fruit juice, even those supposedly healthy granola bars. All of these break down into sugar in your body. And here's the connection. Every single time you eat something with carbohydrates or sugar, your body needs this vitamin to process that sugar and turn it into energy. The more sugar you eat, the more of this vitamin gets used up. It's like trying to fill a bathtub while the drain is wide open. You can keep pouring water in, but if that drain keeps letting it out, you're never going to fill the tub. Many people shared their experiences online about noticing their leg swelling got significantly worse when they ate more carbs and sugary foods. One woman described how she'd been dealing with swollen ankles for 2 years, trying everything her doctor suggested, but nothing really helped until she finally cut way back on refined carbs and started taking this vitamin. She said within about 10 days she could actually see her ankle bones again, something that had been hidden under puffy skin for so long she'd forgotten what her ankles even looked like normally. But here's what makes this especially important for people over 60. Many of us grew up being told that bread and pasta are healthy staples, that we should eat 6 to 11 servings of grains every day. Well, that advice was outdated even when it was given, and now we know better. Those refined carbohydrates are absolutely sabotaging your body's ability to manage fluid properly. So step one, even before we talk about supplementation, is getting that sugar load down. You don't have to go to extremes, you don't have to give up everything you love. But if you can cut your refined carb intake by even half, you're going to see improvements. And when you combine that with the right vitamin, that's when the magic really starts happening. Stay with me because what's coming next is even more critical. Now, coming in at number 4, let's talk about potassium. This mineral doesn't get nearly enough attention, but it's absolutely essential for keeping fluid balanced in your body. Think of potassium like a sponge that soaks up extra water from your tissues and helps your kidneys flush it out where it belongs. When you don't have enough potassium, that fluid just sits there in your legs, causing that uncomfortable swelling. The tricky part is that potassium deficiency is incredibly common in older adults, and most people have no idea they're running low until they start experiencing symptoms like leg swelling, muscle cramps, fatigue, and that general feeling of heaviness. Now, doctors often see patients who are taking diuretics, those water pills prescribed for high blood pressure or heart conditions, and while those medications do help reduce swelling temporarily, they also flush potassium right out of your system. So you might actually be making the problem worse long term if you're not actively replacing that potassium. The recommended daily amount for adults is around 3,500 to 4,700 milligrams, but most Americans get less than half that amount. We're walking around in a state of chronic deficiency and wondering why we feel terrible. The best food sources of potassium include avocados, spinach, sweet potatoes, salmon, white beans and bananas, though bananas actually aren't as high in potassium as most people think. One medium avocado has about 975 milligrams of potassium compared to about 422 in a medium banana. If you're going to supplement with potassium, you need to be careful because too much can be dangerous, especially if you have kidney problems or take certain medications. Most over-the-counter supplements only contain 99 milligrams per pill because higher doses require a prescription. Your best bet is focusing on potassium-rich foods and working with your doctor if you think you need more. One gentleman shared his story about dealing with severe leg swelling that got so bad his doctor was considering prescribing diuretics. But before starting the medication, he decided to dramatically increase his potassium intake through food. He started eating a large salad with spinach and avocado every day, added white beans to his meals several times a week, and snacked on nuts. Within about 3 weeks, he noticed the swelling had decreased by maybe 30%. It wasn't completely gone, but it was noticeably better. And that's the thing. Potassium alone probably won't solve the problem entirely, but it's a crucial piece of the puzzle. But as helpful as potassium is, there's another mineral that works hand in hand with it, and most people are even more deficient in this one. That's coming up next. At number 3, we have magnesium, and this mineral is involved in over 300 different biochemical reactions in your body. One of its most important jobs is helping regulate fluid balance and supporting those sodium-potassium pumps I mentioned earlier. Think of magnesium as the supervisor making sure all the workers, those are your other minerals, are doing their jobs correctly. Without enough magnesium, even if you have plenty of potassium, things still don't work right. It's estimated that nearly half of all Americans don't get enough magnesium from their diet, and that number is even higher in older adults. Magnesium deficiency shows up in all kinds of ways: muscle cramps, especially at night, trouble sleeping, anxiety and irritability, constipation, irregular heartbeat, and yes, leg swelling. When your magnesium levels are too low, your blood vessels don't relax properly, which means blood doesn't circulate as efficiently. That poor circulation contributes directly to fluid pooling in your lower legs and ankles. Plus, magnesium helps your body maintain the right balance between sodium and potassium, which, as we just discussed, is absolutely critical for preventing edema. The daily recommended amount of magnesium is about 320 milligrams for women over 50 and 420 milligrams for men over 50. Good food sources include dark leafy greens like spinach and Swiss chard, pumpkin seeds, almonds, black beans, dark chocolate, and fatty fish like salmon and mackerel. If you decide to supplement, there are several forms of magnesium available, and not all of them are created equal. Magnesium glycinate is one of the best forms because it's highly absorbable and doesn't cause digestive upset like some other forms can. Magnesium oxide is cheaper, but your body doesn't absorb it nearly as well, so you're basically flushing most of it down the toilet. Many women reported that when they started taking 400 milligrams of magnesium glycinate before bed, not only did their leg swelling improve, but they also slept better and had fewer muscle cramps. One woman said she'd been waking up 3 or 4 times every night with painful Charlie horses in her calves. After just 1 week on magnesium, those cramps completely disappeared, and she noticed her ankles weren't as puffy in the morning. She said it felt like someone had let the air out of balloons that had been inflated in her legs. However, there's something I need to warn you about. Even though magnesium is fantastic and you absolutely need it, you can't just throw magnesium at the problem and expect your swelling to vanish. There's still a missing piece, and without this next element, you're only getting part of the solution. And this is where things get really interesting, because what I'm about to tell you might shock you. Coming in at number 2, we need to talk about why all these minerals we've discussed so far, potassium and magnesium, can't work properly without one specific vitamin. This is the vitamin that powers the entire system. Without it, your cells literally cannot use potassium and magnesium effectively. It's like having a car with a full tank of gas but no spark plugs. All the fuel in the world won't help if you can't ignite it. This vitamin is responsible for activating enzymes that run what's called the sodium-potassium pump in every single cell of your body. These pumps are like tiny machines that constantly move sodium out of your cells and potassium into your cells. This process is what keeps your fluid levels balanced and prevents swelling. When you're deficient in this vitamin, those pumps slow down dramatically or stop working altogether. Sodium starts building up inside your cells, and wherever sodium goes, water follows. That's basic chemistry, so your cells start swelling up with excess fluid. Meanwhile, potassium that should be inside your cells leaks out into your bloodstream, and then your kidneys flush it away. So even if you're eating plenty of potassium-rich foods or taking supplements, if you don't have enough of this vitamin, that potassium is just going to waste. You're pouring water into that bathtub with the drain wide open again. Medical research has found that this vitamin deficiency is shockingly common in older adults, especially those with diabetes, heart conditions, or anyone taking certain medications regularly. Diuretics deplete this vitamin. Metformin, the diabetes medication, depletes this vitamin. Even drinking alcohol regularly, which many people do socially without thinking twice about it, absolutely destroys your body's stores of this vitamin. Some studies suggest that up to 20 to 30% of older adults admitted to hospitals have some level of deficiency in this vitamin, but doctors rarely test for it because it's not part of standard blood work. Here's where this gets really scary. The symptoms of deficiency are often mistaken for just normal aging or other conditions. Fatigue, check. Muscle weakness, check. Poor appetite, check. Swelling in the legs, big check. Mental confusion or memory problems, yep, that too. Doctors see these symptoms and might prescribe medication for depression or anxiety or order tests for dementia, never realizing the real culprit is a simple vitamin deficiency that could be corrected in days to weeks with proper supplementation. People who discovered they were deficient and started supplementing describe it as life-changing. One person shared how they'd been experiencing progressively worsening leg swelling for over a year, to the point where they could barely walk by evening. Their doctor ran tests for kidney problems, heart failure, all kinds of scary possibilities. Everything came back normal. Finally, someone suggested testing for this vitamin deficiency. Sure enough, their levels were extremely low. They started taking a high-dose supplement, and within 4 days they noticed the tightness in their legs starting to ease. By 2 weeks, the swelling was down by about 70%. By 6 weeks, their legs looked and felt completely normal again. They said it was like getting their life back after feeling like an old person trapped in a body that didn't work right anymore. So by now you're probably yelling at the screen, telling me to just reveal what this vitamin is already, and trust me, we're almost there. But there's one more absolutely critical piece of information you need to understand before I tell you exactly what to do, because knowing which vitamin isn't enough. You also need to know how much to take, what form to take, and how to combine it with everything else we've discussed to get the fastest, best results possible. And that's what's coming up as our number one most important point. This is it. This is the big one. All right, here we are at number 1, and this is the foundation everything else is built on. The vitamin that powers all those sodium-potassium pumps that helps your body use potassium and magnesium effectively. The vitamin that can start reducing your leg swelling in as little as 3 to 5 days is vitamin B1, also called thiamine. This is the missing link most doctors never think to check for, and it's absolutely critical for fluid balance in your body. Thiamine is a water-soluble vitamin, which means your body can't store it. You need a fresh supply every single day, and any excess gets flushed out in your urine. This is why deficiency can develop surprisingly quickly if you're not getting enough from food, or if something is depleting your stores faster than you can replace them. And as I mentioned earlier, many common medications do exactly that. Diuretics, metformin, even drinking coffee and tea regularly can interfere with thiamine absorption and utilization. Your body uses thiamine to convert carbohydrates into energy. Every time you eat bread, pasta, rice, fruit, anything with sugar or starch, you need thiamine to process it. This is why people who eat high-carb diets are at much higher risk of deficiency. They're burning through their thiamine stores at a much faster rate. It's also why people with diabetes have higher rates of thiamine deficiency. Their bodies are dealing with high blood sugar constantly, which requires massive amounts of thiamine to process. When thiamine levels drop too low, all kinds of systems start failing. Your nervous system suffers, which can cause numbness, tingling, and that pins and needles sensation in your feet and legs. Your heart function declines, which can lead to shortness of breath and rapid heartbeat. Your digestive system slows down, causing constipation and loss of appetite. And critically for what we're discussing today, your sodium-potassium pumps stop working efficiently, causing fluid to leak out of your cells and accumulate in your tissues, especially in your lower legs where gravity makes the problem worse. The official medical term for severe thiamine deficiency is beriberi, and there are 2 types. Dry beriberi affects the nervous system, causing numbness, weakness, and difficulty walking. Wet beriberi affects the cardiovascular system and causes severe swelling, particularly in the legs, along with breathing difficulties and heart problems. Most people watching this don't have full-blown beriberi, but they might have what's called subclinical deficiency, meaning their levels are low enough to cause symptoms, but not low enough to show up clearly on standard tests. The recommended daily allowance for thiamine is only 1.1 to 1.2 milligrams for adults, which doesn't sound like much. But here's the thing. Many functional medicine doctors and researchers now believe that the RDA is far too low, especially for people dealing with chronic health conditions, high stress, or high carbohydrate intake. Some people need 100 to 300 milligrams per day or even more to see therapeutic benefits. That's 100 times or more than the official recommendation. One of the leading researchers in this field has worked with thousands of patients with chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, and other complex conditions, and he found that high-dose thiamine, sometimes 600 milligrams to 1,800 milligrams per day, produced dramatic improvements in energy, mental clarity, and yes, reduction in edema and swelling. These aren't dangerous doses. Thiamine is extremely safe because any excess just gets excreted in your urine. There's no known toxicity level. So here's exactly what I recommend you do starting today. First, get your diet under control. Cut back significantly on refined carbohydrates and sugar. Every time you eat those foods, you're burning through thiamine and contributing to the swelling. Focus on whole foods, plenty of vegetables, healthy fats, and moderate amounts of protein. Second, start supplementing with thiamine. Look for a high-quality B-complex supplement that contains at least 50 to 100 milligrams of thiamine, or get a standalone thiamine supplement. The form doesn't matter as much as the dose, though some people prefer benfotiamine, which is a fat-soluble form that may be better absorbed. Third, make sure you're also getting adequate magnesium and potassium, either from food or supplements, because remember, these work together. Thiamine powers the pumps, but the pumps need magnesium and potassium to function. One without the others won't give you the results you're looking for. Fourth, be patient but pay attention. Some people notice improvements within 3 to 5 days, but for others, it might take 2 to 3 weeks to see significant changes. Your body needs time to replenish its stores and repair the cellular damage that's been building up potentially for months or years. And finally, stay hydrated. I know that sounds counterintuitive when you're dealing with swelling, but dehydration actually makes edema worse because your body holds on to every drop of water it can when it thinks there's a shortage. Drink plenty of water throughout the day. Your body will start releasing that trapped fluid once it realizes there's enough water coming in regularly. Let me tell you about one more person who experienced this transformation. She had been dealing with severe leg swelling for almost 3 years. Her doctor put her on diuretics, which helped a little, but made her feel weak and dizzy. She tried compression stockings, which were uncomfortable and didn't really solve the problem. She elevated her feet every evening, watched her salt intake religiously. Nothing made a lasting difference. Then she came across information about thiamine deficiency and decided to try it. She started with 100 milligrams of thiamine per day, along with magnesium glycinate at bedtime, and focused on eating more potassium-rich foods. She also cut out most of the bread, pasta, and sweets she'd been eating daily. Within 1 week, she noticed her legs felt less heavy. By 2 weeks, she could see visible improvement in the swelling. By 6 weeks, her legs looked completely normal for the first time in years. She said she couldn't believe something so simple had made such a massive difference when nothing else had worked. She actually cried the first time she put on a pair of boots that hadn't fit in over 2 years, and they zipped up easily. That's the kind of life-changing result we're talking about here. Now, I want to be really clear about something. If you have severe leg swelling that came on suddenly, if it's only in one leg, if you have chest pain or severe shortness of breath, or if the skin on your legs is hot, red, or painful, you need to see a doctor immediately. Those could be signs of a blood clot, infection, or heart failure, which are medical emergencies. What we're talking about in this video is chronic bilateral leg swelling that's been gradually getting worse over time, the kind that's more annoying and uncomfortable than life-threatening. But for that type of swelling, which affects millions of seniors and makes everyday life miserable, addressing your thiamine levels along with magnesium and potassium can be absolutely transformative. This isn't some weird alternative medicine theory. This is basic biochemistry. Your cells need these nutrients to function properly. When they don't have them, things go wrong, and swelling is one of the most visible signs that something's off. So here's your action plan. Start reducing your sugar and refined carb intake today. Pick up a high-quality B-complex supplement that includes at least 50 to 100 milligrams of thiamine, along with a good magnesium glycinate supplement. Increase your intake of potassium-rich foods like avocados, leafy greens, and white beans. Drink plenty of water and give it at least 2 to 3 weeks to start seeing real improvements. Track your progress. Take pictures of your ankles and legs at the start so you can compare them in a few weeks. Measure around the widest part of your calf and ankle and write those numbers down. Sometimes the changes are so gradual day to day that you don't notice them until you look back and realize how much better things have gotten. You deserve to feel comfortable in your own body. You deserve to be able to put on your shoes without a struggle, to walk without that heavy, achy feeling, to look down at your legs and see your actual ankles instead of puffy, swollen tissue. This is achievable. It's not some fantasy or unrealistic hope. It's a matter of giving your body the specific nutrients it needs to do its job properly. If you found this information valuable, hit that like button and share this video with anyone you know who's dealing with leg swelling. Leave a comment telling me your age and where you're watching from, and let me know if you're going to try this approach. I read every comment and I love hearing about your progress and success stories. And make sure you're subscribed to this channel because we're constantly putting out content designed specifically to help you feel your absolute best at every age. Your best years don't have to be behind you. With the right information and the right action, you can feel strong, energized and comfortable well into your 70s, 80s and beyond. Let's make that happen together.